Welcome back to the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we speak to Gilles Leroy from the Leroy brothers. They're based between Ghent and Saint-Paul-de-Vence. Their studio is in Ghent, and they've been doing a lot of collaborative work with themselves and with other people for the last 20 years. I hope you enjoy this interview with Gilles. What I love about Anchor is that it's given me creative control of my own material. I was approached by a big company to do a podcast about the art world, and I didn't want to sign over all rights to them. Anchor has allowed me to make this podcast and to keep creative control as well as financial control in terms of advertising. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free. You can use it on your phone or your computer. There are tools that help you to upload your recordings that you've done separately or on the app. They'll distribute it for you as well, which again, I couldn't wrap my mind around distribution, and they have it all there for you in one place: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and many more. You can easily make money from it as well. They help you advertise. As you can see right now, I'm getting my first ad out through Anchor. And all you have to do is download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good luck with your podcast and getting your voice out there and owning your content. Hi, welcome back to the Bees and Honey podcast. Today we're speaking with Gilles Leroy.
Leroy, yes.
Leroy. Who's Belgian and has lived most time in the south of France. He's in New York for his work right now. So Gilles, tell me what you're here in New York doing.
I'm here just to find some curator or gallerist who would like to work with us, as we are based normally in Europe and we're working over there. But finding somebody in the US is slightly more complicated, and that's my purpose of my trip.
Ah, good. I know you have some relatives who worked in art in the past. I think your new book or catalog talks about them. Can you tell us about your relatives who were artists when you were growing up, who you knew about?
Yes, it's my grandfather and my grandhome, where we spent, of course, as children, a lot of time to see what is art and to understand the paintings and the brushstrokes and so on. So, as we are working under the name of Leroy Brothers and not under my name, we're working with three brothers: Nicolas, Gregory, and myself, Gilles. And so one by one we were able to get into my grandfather's studio to learn some stuff.
And what was your grandfather's name?
Raymond Leroy.
Raymond Leroy.
And then you have another one who was my grandome, is Willem van Ecke.
And they're both Belgian?
They are both Belgian, yes.
Artists. So tell us, what is the Leroy Brothers? How does it work? How did it start?
But how does it start? The Leroy Brothers is today a collective of three brothers and some other people. We started in 1997, where my brothers were more doing the painting work at four hands, and I was more doing the sales part. Later on, we merged together, and we continue to working and creating together, as we basically, the three of us, have been creating since childhood.
Wow. And how does it work in terms of how you guys get along? You do what, or does it change every week, every month,
It doesn't change. It's changed just because of certain projects. At a certain moment, a certain person has to do something different, and the others are not able to be there because of life. So it's changed a little bit, but we could rather say that we don't know really who is doing what.
Right. Oh, well, that's kind of cool. It's almost like one organism just doing different things, like you said, at different times.
Yes, that's correct.
And you started off with this painting, was it collaborative when you started,
The
I guess, in 1990,
1997, yes.
1997, yeah.
This was mostly my two brothers who were painting, as I just mentioned, and they painted like a chess game, and they tried to finalize the total artwork, and one could say to the other, "No, it's finished," and then the other has just one added step to put, and then they signed both of them.
Oh, wow. All right. And then the next stage, I guess, of your art had to do with this, what you call brand art.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that? Art as product?
But yes, we decided at a certain moment to put a logo instead of his signature. So we created a logo that is basically Leroy plus Leroy, and later we changed it to Leroy Brothers. And correct, we created the brand, as we will do later on in different kind of projects, where we created a project that was named Artman, that was based on kind of a democratic art project, so art for the people.
Oh, okay. And I think that collaborative, collective thing is still running through your art today. So tell us what this art take on commodification and corporatization of art is, because that's a big topic of mine.
Yes, it's a little bit just to brand art and to make something, yeah, like I mentioned, a little bit different in the way of, is art really something
Creative.
that is made by the artists? Yes, of course, but is it also the gallerist or the creator who is playing a big role in who the artist is? Because when you look around into art fairs or art studios, there is really a lot of good stuff who is never capable to get further than just selling to some friends and a few people. And they don't get into museums or big galleries because it's all kind of protected. So yes, this is this whole concept.
Yeah, and the artist does this sort of package.
Yes.
Yeah. And your next project dealt with MySpace portraits. Can you tell us how that worked?
Yes,
Yeah.
the MySpace portraits is just because there was more and more internet, we could use more and more the internet. We did it before with Messenger, so we took information and we put it on our canvases. Later on, we took the MySpace, as it was quite famous in 2004, 2004. And we just were looking for people who were quite kind of interesting, and we took their data, we took their images, their videos, the centers they put online and so on, and we created one artwork. It was like, and then we rejected it to them to show this is you, and they were always surprised. And it's a little bit the privacy policy that we have much later on with the Instagram, Facebook and so on, because people were not aware that they were sharing everything online. They thought it was just in between their friends, and that's it.
Right. And this is like one of the guys who wrote about you in the most recent book was saying that in a way you were ahead of your time with this stuff, because now we have Richard Prince doing these Instagram portraits, and in my opinion they're not as insightful as what you guys did with the MySpace portraits at that time.
Yes, that's very nice of you to say this, but we just did what we thought it was interesting to do, and this is basically we continue from there, from this project, the MySpace, to create another project later on, who was Witness Your World, or that we called even a little bit differently before.
Yes.
We decided around 2 or 6 to instead of grabbing all this information from online, why not creating our own platform? And at that time, which we did in 2006, we created our first virtual artist and decided to create a web-based platform instead of application.
Right.
Which nowadays maybe was the wrong choice, but we created it, and nowadays we're changing everything to a kind of an application.
Right. So what was that application and how was it used?
But it was, first of all, it was a web-based, so it was not at all an application.
Right.
It was a
Website.
a website with user-generated content, much more with illustration, but we quickly changed to photography. So we got from users around the world information as text message and illustration or photography. We saw it changed fast on our personal platform. It was square-based photography and then mashed up into a combination of 3 different people, and that was rejecting a kind of an artwork.
And basically, it evolved itself. You guys didn't say one day, okay, give us photography or give us this or give us that. It organically changed itself to the form it needed to be.
But you mean to the photography or the form that the result of the artwork?
Yeah, the result.
But yeah, it was organically because it's based on a voting system. In the past, as everyone know, we did a lot of with like and dislike. Facebook took it away not so long ago, well, not so long ago. But we use it as well. People could vote on content, and thanks to a simple algorithm, the best voted work or image was mashed up with 2 others.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that definitely is a bit ahead of its time. And tell us about the Artman then. I mean, this was a collaboration with who? Or with several people as well.
But the Artman is an art project. Back to the branding. That's as we branded our own art with Leroy Brothers logo. We created a brand who was Artman, which was represented with an A, just the A, and is a little bit the project before Axel King, where we just draw things on computer and send it to China, and in China it was paint and sending back to Europe as a democratic art system, because the purpose of our brand of Artman was to sell a piece of 2 meter on 2 for $1,000.
Wow, I love that. And the Artman was a completely fictional character based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and from Artman came Axel King. So it was the experiment that we did just before.
Right. And Axel King is what exactly? Because I actually like these paintings from Artman. I like them a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But we took information. It was for us kind of easy, and it is kind of easy. If you just look on the art world, what's going on, you can technically reproduce everything. It's just a matter of focus and see what the brushstrokes are, and we make it. And as you can see here, a work of Damien Hirst. So we produce things, and we're a little bit laughing and having fun with it.
Right.
And again, instead of having a painting of $50,000 or $500,000, we put it for much less. But it was not an artwork from a certain artist.
Right.
It was an artwork from a brand, from the Leroy Brothers.
Right. Okay, I see what you're talking about now. Yeah, so tell us about the other thing that came out of like this Luc DeVos guy.
Yes.
He was part of the other thing?
He is part of the Artman and the introduction to the Axel King and the platform that we do have today. Luc DeVos was, because he passed away, unfortunately, he was a very famous Belgian musician. which we started to talk with, and we asked him, "Hi, Luc, do you want to make art? Can you make art?" He said, "No, I can't. Definitely not. I can make music. Give me a guitar, and this is okay for me." But so we figured out to work together, and he was making pictures on his daily life, and from there on, we produced 20, 30 artworks for him about his pictures that he made during his daytime.
So the artworks were paintings of his photographs.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, they're also quite beautiful. I mean, aesthetically pleasing. And then how did this Axel King come out then? How did he work with Luc DeVos and with Artman or...
But Axel King didn't work with Luc DeVos or Artman. Axel King, as I mentioned, was this virtual artist that was developed out of all the previous projects. So if you take MySpace, which is which is a social media platform, when you take Artman, which was paintings made on computers sent to China, coming back, and then you have Luc DeVos, who was an external person. So then we thought, okay, let's in a way mix all these things, these subjects together, and create a virtual artist. As Luc DeVos was a virtual, Artman was kind of virtual, the social the MySpace was virtual.
So you made a character who actually looks like a man,
yes,
and who doesn't exist, and then these were his works.
Yes, and he made great interviews. So it was quite interesting to see how people interact with him. But I have to say, at that time in 2007, 8, people were not so involved with all virtual things.
It was still very new to them.
It was very new to them.
Yeah.
Maybe in Silicon Valley it was okay, but not in Europe.
Well, again, this is also a throwback in a way to the concept of having some sort of surrogate show up for you. Warhol was doing that sometimes when he didn't feel like going to an interview or appearing at the function that he was invited to. He sent somebody else dressed up as him. So, I mean, in terms of art history, you guys are extending the story somehow in the 21st century.
In somehow, but I have to say, the three of us, my two brothers and myself, in some way we are not so happy. We don't like so much to talk for public, so I can understand it is a little bit like, okay, let's create something else and let him do the interview.
Right.
Let him talk.
And go ahead.
Even if we had to talk anyway, so because he couldn't talk at that time. But maybe nowadays we could let him talk with Siri and so on.
Oh, but, totally. He could definitely talk now. You just had to get your voice into some program, and it would come out as his voice. And you said your inspiration comes from people who engage with you online and the audience that participates in the creative process. When you sold these works, did you ever pay them stuff? Or did you share profits with them or stuff like that?
No, our objective was to do this. But this would bring us quite fast in bankruptcy. So,
okay.
We, as an artist, has to produce a lot and is not able always to sell everything, depending again if he is managed by Gallery X or Y.
Right.
So our intent is still to do this eventually in the future if we can find the correct way of functioning, but we do credit them with the name and their avatar and so on on the canvas, on every single artwork. And at a certain moment we created like the Be the Artist, and we invited every single year and basically on many exhibitions one particular person who was at that particular moment very high on score on our platform, and so we give him the experience to be part of the whole show.
Right. Yeah, I think I remember that they would come to the exhibition wherever it was being held and participate with you guys for a period of time. Yeah, okay. And how do you see this whole technology thing factoring into art creation in the future? I mean, has your stuff become more accepted or understood by people now that the technology is more ubiquitous?
Yes, I think so. It has been more accepted, but still, it's still a little bit of a barrier because we are doing art and we are not just promoting the person himself, and art is still far away for many people. So once they know you have, it's part of an art project and maybe the picture will get into an artwork, they are a little bit more afraid because you are not gone in the timeline. On Instagram, you're gone in the timeline. On Facebook, you're gone in the timeline, and it's quite complicated to find material back. We try to just take this virtual to reality again, and so it's a little bit scary for some people.
Yeah.
But we get there. We get there step by step.
Yes. And what about this BD artist thing? How did that work? Is that part of the uh, create your own world platform thing?
No, this is what I explained with the guys that we invited at a certain at the shows.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is the BD artist.
Oh, okay,
We
okay.
put in advance as an individual the person who has good credits on the platform. You could
Right.
imagine this, for example, on Instagram. Somebody with the most likes, you take him out of the whole project of Instagram, and you make an art show out of him.
Right. And the most recent work, like something in 2015, where did this stuff come out of?
This comes out.
They were less photography based and more painterly.
Yes, but every time when we do have a mashup on our platform, which was created out of three persons, one with a text message and two images, we decided with the brothers, as it was all digital, we decided to recreate new stuff. So from one piece of artwork, we created 10 to 14 different visuals.
Wow, wow. Okay. And then how does this work factor into where you lived? Like, I know you were living in Shanghai
Yes.
for a while. What years were those, and what were you working on when you were there?
We were working on the Axel King project. It's 2007 to 2012.
Wow, a long time.
Yes, we spent there a little while, but we did a lot of going and coming back,
Right.
going, coming back. But even it was a little bit the same problem. Maybe we should have come to New York at that time to present Axel King, but we decided to go to China, and people, they enjoyed it, but they didn't get it. So it was slightly complicated.
Right.
There was maybe not directly return of investment for them. So I don't know.
And what about this work, the more abstract work that came after? It's also a mashup.
It's also a mashup from the same kind of images.
But there's no text messages in it.
Yes, there is, but at the bottom you can't see it too much.
Oh,
but
they're
you
smaller,
you
yeah,
can see
okay.
always. It's more analyze we make, because later on we analyze every individual pictures based on keywords by some AI. And we did this as well for the text message, and we put them together again, and we created, like here, a Voronoi artwork out of it.
Wow. What do you mean by Voronoi?
It's the combination of the dots and putting. Here we have two layers. Yes, two images that individually pass through the Voronoi system, where they get the colors get more meshed together, and you take the image away, and then we put them again one on each other
Right.
to have a more abstract image.
So this pigment that you're using on the canvas, is it acrylic or what is it?
It's acrylic, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so now you're pretty much based in the south of France, right? Saint-Paul-de-Vence?
Yes.
And how is that working out in terms of where you guys work in the studio and stuff like that?
But we're based in the Saint-Paul-de-Vence and in Ghent in Belgium, and studio is more, let's say, in Ghent, where we are working for the moment with some developers for the next projects of Witness Your World.
Okay, so you guys are still working with that platform.
Yes, still working with it.
And how does it work now? Still with the website?
No, we changed it. We're changing the website to a progressive web app, who is something that is very good for browsers and as well for your as an application function as an application.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Well,
it's a good idea, but it takes some development, some good thinking. And then relaunch or putting it online again and finding new people who wants to join the platform. We have as an objective to combine it a little bit more to the news, to the social of our daily life, and combine it with the news, like kind of a news API where we resource data from 80 news channels from around the world, analyze it, and analyze the content of the individual users, and then creating from scratch again a new artwork. Maybe 3 people, maybe 5 people, maybe 10 people in one image, and a little bit more the involvement of the user himself.
So are these editions or are they original works, each one?
No, we only make originals.
Right.
Because the system himself, he can produce so many works that they are all digital, first of all. So we can decide together with the curator or with the gallerist or with the museum certain topics. The system will take all the subjects out of it, and then we decide yes or no to produce it.
Right.
So, and then it's all unique pieces.
Wow. And what are the plans for... I know you said you're here looking to see what the opportunities are in New York, but what have you done recently in terms of galleries and museum exhibitions last few years?
We did... I have to say we have done a very interesting collaboration with a music band. I like the previous one with the art man Luc de Vos, but then we took a much bigger group, Mermitrol with Ilya Lagwitenko, who is a rock music band as well, and together with him we did like 78 shows, music shows with the visual on the back, and we created his album cover.
And they're a Belgian band?
No, a Russian band.
A Russian band. It sounded Russian, but I wasn't sure.
Yes, no, it's a Russian band. This was very interesting because we did this with him. His album cover. We went to Vladivostok, St. Petersburg, Moscow, and then many different cities in Russia. And as well, we did the MoMA in Moscow with him.
Oh, that's super cool. I like the idea of artists in different media working with each other. I mean, not a lot of artists do it, but I think it's really noteworthy when it does happen.
But we as 3 brothers, we believe it's meant to be, because we are 3. We have to accept and understand each other. So at a certain moment, we created then this platform, Axel King, where we receive data from other people. And why not working with many people? I think it's a little bit of time, because open source on the technology part, you have this little bit all over. So why not in the art? Why not let people collaborate together and mix information to get at the end again a piece of art and a vision of our society.
Right. And do you have one specific gallery you work with very often, or are you still figuring that out for yourself, or how does it work? If people want to buy stuff, can they buy online?
But it's a good question, because it's something we struggling with. Shall we do everything online in the future, or shall we, as you mentioned, work with a specific gallery? Until now, we worked with many different galleries, but we don't have one particular we're working with in non-stop, because we don't want to be stuck. Yes,
Yeah.
we don't want to be, and so we're developing something which will be good, I think, for the gallery as well as for us, as well for the people who wants to buy, or the people who wants to see it or be part of something different. But that's future business, and we're gonna see.
And I'll tell you a little story about that when we get offline. It's a little off topic, but one Belgian collector was describing to me how a certain young art fair works, and basically all the sales go through online. There's nothing done at the booth. There's nothing done outside of the actual sales online.
But the sales online are getting up every single year. In the art world. Many people never see the physical artwork when they're buying it, because our time is going fast, everything goes fast, and online is the fastest way to get to a certain piece.
I mean, I have one collector, I've never met him. He was introduced to me by someone, and he just looked at something that we sent in an email, and he bought it for a significant amount. He hasn't even seen the painting as yet. We never met. It's all online.
Yes, it's all online.
Yeah.
It's. I think it's how we're gonna work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because creating an art fair is fantastic, but it's so it's a lot of pollution, a lot of transport, a lot of whatever. Of course, you need to meet people and so on and so on, which is very nice. But it's a little bit in contradiction with our society today,
as it's evolving. Yeah. Well, I think all these things showing up in society, like coronavirus and blah blah blah, is helping us all rethink how we do business, how we travel, how we interact with each other. I mean, it's interesting times we're living in, as they say.
Definitely.
I think that's a Chinese insult. I hope you live in interesting times. Anyways, well, here we are. Well, thank you for taking the time to meet me and to catch up about your work, and hopefully we'll be in the same place again soon to actually see what you're working on.
Thank you very much, Nicolette.
Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add before we're done?
No, I'm done. I'm just will continue looking for a gallery and curator to work with.
Okay, and if anybody's
maybe it will be Nicolette.
We'll see. And maybe if you're in the south of France, you want to check them out at L'Etoile Blanche.
Oh yes,
in
you can
Saint-Paul-de-Vence. You'll find these three brothers there with their parents, often having dinner or having a drink or having fun, entertaining their friends. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good week. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bees and Honey podcast, and we look forward to having you again next week for a new episode. Thank you. Goodbye.